Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Good to see some familiar faces in the audience. CES is always a great event because of the timing. Kicks off the year, great way to kind of zoom out and see where the world is headed. I did some of that work myself, and I was asked to come up here and talk about some of the main trends that I see happening that's going to impact business, culture, society at large here in 2024. So I'm going to dive through it pretty rapid fire for 10 minutes, and hope you guys get a lot of value from this. We'll just dive in. So there's a lot of optimism about 2024 in the markets right now. A lot of people think that we are past the point of inflation, that the economy is going to come roaring back, that we're going to have a soft landing. I happen to think otherwise. I think if you look at a lot of the trends and data you're seeing for the consumer, there's a lot of reason to still be concerned. This chart here talks about how consumer credit card debt has topped out at $1 trillion. What I see is consumers didn't really adjust their lifestyle post-COVID with all the fiscal stimulus that came up. They kept their spending, they kept their travel, but now what we're starting to see is the stimulus is running out. Costs are still at an elevated level, and although we have very low unemployment, and there's definitely reasons to be positive, I would enter this year with a healthy bit of skepticism about the consumer. We saw a lot of headwinds for B2B companies, enterprise companies, software companies in 2023, and 2024 might be the year where this kind of trickle-down impact on the economy impacts the consumer. So it's definitely something to keep your eye on, and certainly keeping my eye on it in terms of how the consumer is going to fare heading into this year. This is a huge topic here at CES in terms of Google and the cookie crumbling. As most of you know, Google deprecating their cookie on the Chrome browser. This happens a couple years after the iOS 14 changes, where Apple instituted a range of privacy initiatives, really ultimately to protect the consumer, but it comes at the behest of brands. Brands no longer have the ability to target consumers the way they have in the past. They no longer have the ability to understand other contextual ways that they can target consumers that are relevant to their world, which puts a lot of pressure on another thing you're probably hearing about now, which is first-party data. Every brand, CPG brands traditionally have not sold direct to consumer, are now in a rush to collect first-party data and pulling out a bunch of tricks to try to get that accomplished. It's going to be interesting to see how brands are going to be able to manage this. We were in a world where everything was performance within COVID, because you saw so many direct-to-consumer marketers focus on performance and measurement and driving ROI. It's not going to be as easy here in 2024, and you may see a shift back to more brand-based advertising, awareness-based advertising, as you see a lot of these direct targeting capabilities go away. It's going to be an interesting year for TV, for Hollywood, for content creation and studios. We all know the writer's strike that happened in 2023. The lagging impact of that is definitely going to impact what you see on your screens in 2024. We also saw a lot of the streaming companies have pretty tough years and drastically cut budgets, cut production, cut shows. And I think what a lot of people are going to be saying when they're on their couch at 10:30 at night is, why isn't there anything on TV this year? You're already starting to see it. It creates opportunities. It creates opportunities for companies that know how to use AI to create interesting direct content. It creates a huge opportunity for the creator economy, which has had its own fair share of issues and headwinds in the last year or so. But I would really look to see what companies are agile and take advantage of the ability to create their own custom content and take advantage of the fact that there's going to be a dearth of original quality content that's going to be coming out on the small screen in 2024. And the same is happening with movies as well. A lot of the production pauses that even are still lagging from the COVID era that are going to impact what consumers can see on the big screen as well. Retail media. So we're at a tipping point for retail media. Most of you probably know retail media has been a huge area of demand for brands, because brands understand that they spend at big retailers, the Targets, the Walmarts of the world, they can get more shelf space, they can get more placement, they can ultimately move more volume. And the world where it's becoming more and more challenging to measure performance-based media, retail media has become an increased demand. But what's also starting to happen, in what I'm hearing from a lot of brand marketers, is that a lot of the large retailers are really asserting their will on brands, saying it's pay to play. If you want an end cap, if you want more space, you have to pay. And a lot of brands are starting to question the ROI of that. I also think there's going to be some regulatory pushback that you're going to start to see with these big retailers maybe leveraging an unfair marketplace advantage in driving brand spend. And it remains to be seen how sustainable this retail media trend is, but it's something that's not going away in 2024, but something that I see coming to a head at some point later this year. I also see new entrants entrants coming to the media space. I have my eye on Uber as one example. A company like Uber that has limitless contextual first-party data on the consumer, where consumers are going to, where they're eating, where they're traveling, etc. In a world where brands are really struggling for targeting opportunities, really creates a lot of power that they have in the marketplace. And I think you're going to start to see this with more and more businesses that have created media or tangential platforms that really can kind of leverage that first-party data to really enter the space and compete against the Googles and Metas of the world. Uber just launched its advertising product about 18 months ago, incredibly powerful, and one that they can actually deliver the type of context, the type of messaging that other platforms can't, and I really watch them in 2024. So AI, you guys are probably hearing it ad nauseum already, and so yes, we just started. If 2023 was the year where it was AI writing me a blog post or help me with SEO, 2024 is going to be the year where we're going to be going text to video. This is a company called Pico Labs, which is an incredible product that I would definitely recommend you checking out. It's another product called Runway, where basically you can enter any type of prompt, and not will you get an image response, but you'll get a video response. And we are not far away, maybe 18 to 24 months away, where people are going to be creating feature films, video games, obviously TV spots, content, just by typing in prompts. It's going to be fascinating to see how this impacts the content industry, the advertising industry. The big change in AI in 2024 is going to be text to video, going mainstream, rendering at the speeds that that business users want to actually leverage. And it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with companies like Pika here in 2024. The other area of AI that I have my eye on is brands creating their own large language models. So in working with so many different brands, what I've seen in 2023 is that a lot of brands were hesitant to really dive into AI. They talked about it, but then once they actually wanted to activate, their lawyers said, not so fast. Hold on. Privacy issues, data security issues, compliance issues. You cannot actually dive into AI. The big reason why is that when ChatGPT first launched, much was known about when you put content out in these models, anybody can see it, and it's not really private anymore. But now what you're starting to see is lots of technologies out there where brands can create their own large language models, where they can create their own firewall data center, where they can actually feed and fine-tune a model that's specific to their brand's knowledge. And it's going to be a big area of investment for brands that are very much going to be laying down the infrastructure heading into the end of this year, where I think in 2025, most large brands will have their own large language models that can actually feed internal enterprise knowledge sharing, as well as provide a lot of value for the end consumer. A big thing you're going to see a lot of, and you're going to hear a lot about in the third and fourth quarter, is deepfakes. You obviously all know we're heading into an election year, and one of the really powerful parts of AI is your ability to put voices on another consumer, create people that aren't even really people, that look so real, and deepfakes is going to be a real problem heading in the back half of the year. We saw what happened in prior elections with foreign actors, and now the tools are so much more powerful. I think a big opportunity is, you can talk about the blockchain and cryptocurrency and NFTs. A lot of people kind of push that off as something that, it was a boom bust cycle, etc. The technology behind the blockchain actually has a lot of opportunity to actually validate what is a deep fake, what is real, etc. And I would love to see a convergence of the blockchain and AI in the deep fake realm, so the end consumer and end user could really easily tell what's authentic and what's not. And I hope that happens sooner rather than later, because if not, we're going to go through a really scary election cycle with this type of technologies out there. Another trend I start to see happening right now, and this is a controversial one, is I think brands are going to start to stay a lot more silent on social issues. I think what we saw this year is a lot of brands dive in, a lot of brands get bit for going on one side or the other side of any particular issue. And I think we are in such a divisive, incendiary culture, if you will, that many brands in a world where maybe the consumer is weakening and say, you know what, we're going to sit this issue out. We're going to stay on the sidelines. We're starting to see that. I think during COVID, every brand you saw jump into social issues. I think you're going to start to see things shift the other way. And it'll be interesting to see which brands buck the trend and still decide to kind of dig their heels in. But we're going to have, again, a very incendiary year from a political standpoint. And I think it's going to be in a lot of brands' best interest to maybe focus on the business, but we'll see. Not to say that's what elite brands should do, it's something I think they actually end up like doing. And then lastly, and this is kind of a plug for what I focus on, is that more network brands are going to really need to stay close to their consumer. They're going to need to being consumer-centric. They're going to need to understand what consumers are thinking and feeling at any time. The rate of change is faster than ever before, and so many brands are acting in a 2022 or 2020 world that just fly right past the consumer. So I think your ability to have your finger on the pulse of the changing consumer, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what's important to them, is going to be a common for brands to be able to grow and thrive this year. So that's all I have for you. I'm Matt Britton, CEO of a company called Suzy. We do on-demand research software for lots of large enterprises, lots of people in the room, and wishing you guys all nothing but success for this year. So I think we're going to dive into a fireside chat now, but thanks for listening.